So, when you're buying a home, you know that mountain of paperwork you get, the stuff they call disclosures? It's so easy to look at it and just think, ugh, another chore. But what if I told you it's not a burden at all? Actually, it's your single most powerful tool for making a smart, protected investment. Okay, let's dive in. This is really the big question, isn't it? What secrets could a home be holding? Well, sellers don't get to keep everything to themselves. The law actually requires them to reveal specific things about the property, its past and present. And this explainer, it's your guide to exactly what they have to share. So let's just reframe this whole process. Don't think of it as paperwork. Think of yourself as an explorer. And that stack of disclosures, well, that's your treasure map. It shows you the hidden history, the potential pitfalls, and the real value of what you're about to buy. It's really your key to navigating the whole journey with confidence. We've broken this map down into three main parts to make it super easy to follow. First, we'll follow the money with the financial checkpoints. Then, we're going to listen to the property's physical story. And finally, we'll get into the legal stuff, the rules, and the people involved. Let's get started. First up, the money. I mean, it's always about the money, right? These disclosures are all about protecting your wallet and making sure there are no nasty financial surprises waiting for you after you get the keys. So let's take a closer look. Believe it or not, the sale price itself can trigger legal obligations for you, the buyer. There are a couple of key numbers you absolutely need to know about because they can have a real impact on how closing goes down. Okay, so if the property you're buying is over $300,000, a federal rule called FAIRBUM might kick in. That's the Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act. All it means is that if the seller is a foreign person, you might be required to withhold 10% of the gross sales price for the IRS. It's a really crucial detail your escrow officer will help you figure out. And the second magic number is $100,000. Now, this is at the state level. If the price is over this amount and the seller has an out-of-state address, you might have to withhold 3 1/3% of the price for the state. Again, it's all about making sure taxes get paid, but the responsibility could fall on you. And there's more on the money trail, of course. For instance, if the seller is financing part of your purchase, basically acting like a bank for you, there are special disclosures for that. Your agent also has to tell you the final sale price of similar homes in the area. And if you're buying, say, a duplex or commercial property, you have a right to see its financial statements. It's all about transparency. Okay, now that we've followed the money, let's turn our attention to the house itself. You know the saying, if these walls could talk? Well, this is the part of the process that tells you exactly what they'd say about their history, their health, and any little quirks they might have. So before we even get to what the seller has to tell you, let's talk about what you can find out for yourself. A general inspection. That's your broad overview, right? The top to bottom look. But if that inspector flags something specific, like a iffy-looking roof or some old wiring, that's your cue to call in a specialist for a real deep dive. Knowing the difference is just key. So what must be disclosed? Sometimes it's simple things, like making sure the water heater is properly braced for earthquakes. And then there's the big one, the termite report. Don't just glance at it. You want to look for Section 1, which means there's an active problem that needs to be fixed, and Section 2, which flags conditions that could cause problems down the road. You also need to know if the property doesn't conform to current zoning, because that could mess with your future plans. Now, if you're buying a condo or a home in a planned community, things are a little different. You're not just buying a unit. You're buying into a whole organization. So you've got to see their rule book, the CCNRs. You need to look at the Homeowners Association's budget, see if they're being sued, check their insurance, and this is a big one. Find out if any major expenses or special assessments are coming up. You're becoming a financial partner, after all. All right, on to our final section. This is where we get into the duties and the major legal precedents that protect you, the buyer. It's all about the laws and the responsibilities of everyone involved in the deal. Let's get into it. Okay, this is a game changer. It's called the Easton Standard. It comes from a landmark court case, and it completely redefined what an agent has to do. It says an agent can't just say, "Oh, I didn't know." No, they have a duty to do a competent visual inspection and disclose not just what they know, but also what they should have known. It puts the pressure on them to be proactive and protect you. So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, here it is, broken down. First, the agent has to do that diligent visual inspection. Second, it's important to know this duty is only for the unit itself, not common areas or something happening down the street. And third, they have to disclose any material facts. That's just legal speak for anything important that could affect the property's value or how much you want it. This is a sensitive topic, but it's an important one. How is a death on the property handled? The rule is very specific. If a death happened within the last 3 years, it has to be disclosed if the buyer asks. After 3 years, it's no longer required. But the cause of death can matter. Some situations, like a murder, might have to be disclosed even if you don't ask. And here's a critical point of clarification. This is a protection under fair housing laws. A seller or an agent is legally prohibited, they're not allowed, to disclose that a former occupant had AIDS. This is a protected class, and that information simply cannot be part of the disclosure process. And finally, just a few other key pieces of paper. The preliminary title report. Think of it like a background check on the property itself. It shows any liens or ownership issues. The agency disclosure form is vital. It clarifies in writing exactly whose side your agent is on. And if you're buying a place with tenants, estoppel certificates are basically signed statements from them confirming their lease terms so there are no surprises later. So as we wrap up, let's just circle back to where we started. All of these rules, all these forms and inspections, they all have one single purpose: to turn you from just a hopeful buyer into a truly informed owner. Knowledge is protection. That's the bottom line. These rules exist to give you the clearest possible picture of what you're buying. So there you have it. You are now equipped with a map to navigate your home buying journey. You know what to look for in the finances, the physical condition, and the legal documents. So the only thing left to think about is, what's the first question you're going to ask?